Karen Whitmore stood in her driveway at 6:47 a.m., wielding a measuring tape like a sword of justice, her silk pajamas already wrinkled from her aggressive movements. The new neighbor's mailbox was exactly 3¼ inches too far to the left, a violation so egregious it made her eye twitch. She photographed it from 17 different angles, muttering about property values and community standards, while her husband Gerald watched from the kitchen window, already reaching for his emergency bourbon. 20 minutes later, she was banging on the Henderson's door with the fury of a woman possessed. When 22-year-old Jake Henderson answered in his boxers, rubbing sleep from his eyes, Karen thrust her phone in his face like she was presenting evidence at the Nuremberg trials. "This," she shrieked, jabbing at the screen. "This is what happens when people think rules don't apply to them." Jake squinted at the photo of his perfectly normal mailbox. "Ma'am, it's not even 7 in the morning. It's Mrs. Whitmore, and your mailbox is in violation of Residential Code 4.2b. The positioning requirements clearly state." "Karen," Jake interrupted, his morning voice carrying the weight of someone who'd already dealt with her twice this week. "It's a mailbox. The mail guy seems to find it just fine." The use of her first name hit Karen like a physical slap. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air before she found her voice again. "How dare you speak to me like that? I am the elected president of the Willowbrook Estates Homeowners Association, elected by yourself and Mrs. Patterson from 47 Maple Street, who votes for whatever you tell her to." Jake shot back, confidence growing with each word. "Look, I moved here to get away from crazy, not to invite it over for breakfast." Karen's face cycled through several shades of red before settling on a particularly alarming purple. She whirled around, her perfectly coiffed blonde hair whipping dramatically in the morning breeze. "You'll be hearing from the board," she called over her shoulder, already dialing her phone with shaking fingers. By noon, she'd filed 17 separate violation notices against the Henderson property. Improper mailbox positioning, lawn height exceeding regulations by a 1/4 inch, unauthorized flower varieties in the front garden, and 14 other infractions she'd invented on the spot. Each form was filled out in her immaculate handwriting, cross-referenced with HOA bylaws she'd memorized like scripture. Gerald found her in her home office, surrounded by printed regulations and legal pads covered in her meticulous notes. "Honey, maybe you should." "Should what?" Karen snapped, not looking up from her work. "Should let them turn our neighborhood into some kind of lawless wasteland. Should watch our property values plummet because some punk kid thinks he can disrespect everything we've built here." She stood up abruptly, papers scattering to the floor. "I built this community, Gerald. Every perfectly manicured lawn, every regulation that keeps us civilized. That's my legacy. And I'll be damned if some entitled millennial is going to destroy it." But as Karen stared out her window at the Henderson house, she couldn't shake the feeling that Jake's confident smirk meant he knew something she didn't, something that would change everything. Asterisk, what secret is Jake hiding that could turn the tables on Karen's perfectly ordered world? Find out in part 2. Asterisk.